2 black wheels on Dave's shiny silver walker roll quiet as a whisper. The rear posts are now his legs. Sweat socks over padded foam with a duct tape garter wrapping the silver metal tubes. He struggles to swing wheelchair to walker, grasps both handles, hoists to his feet. Sways side to side like a loose-rooted tree in high wind seeking stability. Finds a center, his center, embarks on mission, skidding over wood-grain floors to the bathroom, to the kitchen, to the handicap shower. Every day, every week, every month. A year passes, maybe more. Mornings and eventually entire days consist of self-care routines. Caregivers won't streamline the process by rolling the chair to the bathroom or the shower, for that would give ground to the enemy, ground that Dave refuses to relinquish. His iron will wrestles his body into obedience in his own personal war that takes place 24/7 and plays out in a perpetual, slow motion. Like 2 roughnecks arm wrestling in a local pub, sleeves to the elbow straining, eyeballs bulging while grunts and groans escape clenched jaws, neither giving way to the other. It's a war Dave wills to win, a battle plan etched on his face and steeled in his eye. He fixes a beat on the clock to register his time, methodically works his wheelchair to position, applies a brake, pivots from the momentum of a pendulum foot, every moment exaggerated to wind a weakening spring of a ticking clock. Arms are cast up and out toward white plastic handles like sheets flung out to cover a mattress. A hand catches, wraps hold, pulls feeble as a puff of wind. Leading with the weight of his head, he begins to rock forward and backward, a driver urging his stuck vehicle out of mud to a higher ground. High ground won over, center of gravity established, he skid shuffles to the bathroom. Caregivers hear his groans, memorize his contorted face, feel the greasy sweat, inhale the odor, part morgue, part neonatal. They are foxhole medics trailing Dave, coaching at the corners, trading their pace of life for the second hand of his oxymoron slow racing clock. Tick. Pause. Tock. Pause. Tick. Pause. Tock. Toilet has been reached. Strategic maneuvers are now required. Walker is circled, positioned, bent thumb hooks an elastic band, baggy green sweats are coaxed to knee level. Here he rests. Muscles do not. Continual twitching transmits a Morse code message through skin. Defense broken through. Under attack. Send reinforcements. There are no reinforcements to send. You are simply called to patiently observe the battle. Dave is readied, flops back onto the seat. Forehead crunches into lines, droplets of sweat like beaded mercury pressing heavy on his mind. He waits. He prays. Silent mantra to a sphincter muscle, believing it will sputter to life and aided by gravity move bowels. You wait. You pray. And if prayers are answered, you wipe. You learn a lot doing that for a brother, a husband, a father, a son. The process of Dave skid shuffling to the bathroom at the end of his mobile life took him nearly 45 minutes. That's 2,700 tick, pause, tock, pause seconds. In dog years, that's. Dave appreciates attempts at humor in the middle of difficult moments, but he can't laugh and continue his task simultaneously. So he stops, gives you all his bodily attention. Blue eyes squint nearly closed, leaving just enough room for tears to leak out. Facial and skeletal muscle tightens, jaw drops, and drool flows. Lips pull back, exposing teeth like a laughing horse accepting a bit. These are Dave's belly's laughs, needing release. A delightful, laughing whine poured from wise skin. And in those moments, all in his presence are doused with joy. As for a horse accepting a bit, Dave was a stubborn horse in his own right and could have spit out the bit upon realizing its harshness. But what happened instead is that he decisively surrendered to the slightest touch of the reins on his life so that he never felt its bite. He accepted that bit when at 10 years of age he handed God the reins. We always kept riding horses on the farm, and all of us kids learned to saddle and ride horses, but no one owned a horse of their own until Dave negotiated a deal with a neighbor for a sorrel gelding with a flame-shaped white blaze between its eyes. Talion was the horse's name, and the mark on his forehead seemed to dance like real fire. As Dave led Talion down the road toward his new home, the horse skittered nervously, side to side. Dave knew Talion had been treated rough, so he allowed time for him to warm to the sights and sounds of the farm while building trust through consistent care. Still, Talion's colt within was insecure and unsure, and he trembled and twitched around humans or horses. His anxiety would escalate, and then he would bolt, as if a mountain lion had lit on him and he needed to escape his own skin. Dave's steady-handed routines weren't fully settling Talion. This frustrated Dave, and he began some creative problem-solving. The problem was his horse wouldn't accept a rider, with the underlying factor being that his horse thought of him as an intruder, a mountain lion on its back, if you will. So here was all this pent-up horse energy, and the animal wouldn't even accept a rider, let alone Dave in the saddle. Dave began to wonder if there might be another method to harnessing all that horse energy, if he could only convince Talion that he wasn't a mountain lion. I don't think he discussed his idea with anyone. He simply went to work constructing something. We just watched the mad horse scientist at work and rolled our eyes, sort of like Noah's neighbors, both passing by and passing judgment on Noah as he built the ark in preparation of loading a floating zoo full of animals. 3 generations of abandoned tractors, combines, corn pickers, drags, discs, manure spreaders, wagons, and hay balers were scattered about the farm, an eclectic equipment zoo. Some barely poked their rusty necks over the tall grass growing around them as they slunk slowly into the sod like old people, who become shorter every year because of shrinking cartilage. But every piece had a lineage, an origin, a story in a Latin and common name. And Ellis Chalmers WD-45, proper translated in the common to rusty orange tractor behind chicken coop, no wheels. When we didn't know a machine's story or its function, we assigned it a new one. The wooden McCormick thruster with faded red and white letters became a McDonald's, where we kids served up 1 billion hamburgers off of a grill that had once carried wheat to a whirring fan. And thus, a new story, a new lineage was born. So when Dave began welding on a piece of something with wheels that he had retrieved from the zoo, we all paid attention. Quirky artists and reflective poets prepared to record history, each zookeepers in their own right. Dave, like Noah, tuned out onlookers and worked away on his mysterious project, only straightening to wipe his brow with the back of a hand when seemingly searching the sky for rain. He just let questions build and rumors flow and directed them back to God. His work came to end on a Saturday evening. Unlike Noah, who observed the Sabbath by loading the ark the day after, Dave decided he would ride the next afternoon, a Sunday afternoon. Pinched between thumb and forefinger were long black reins snapped to a silver bit. When tightened, Talion's chin tucked and his neck arched, accenting a bristled mane, transforming him from frightened girly horse to stately war horse. Instead of scatting side to side, he now strode to battle, secured by a Spartan at the helm of, a hard-to-describe contraption. Wherein Talion had refused the saddle, he tolerated the yoke and harness as he pulled what had commonly been referred to as the steel-wheeled wagon behind the busted-down pig pen. It had been condensed in structural form and nomenclature and now groaned over gravel on 2 heavy metal wheels, pulverizing soil to dust and crushing iron-fisted clay to bits. The Spartan rode tall and proud in his resurrected proper chariot del Talion, grinning like he was posing for a photo shoot. I got a good look from the upstairs window of my bedroom, where I had been napping, as they rolled down the drive between the sprawling elm on their right and the mailbox on their left. They swung a dramatic turn onto the road, headed west into the late afternoon sun, and then turned up the rut-filled lane that led to the pond in the back 40. Things seemed to be going well for the Spartan and his chariot del Talion. No mountain lions or rain in sight. I rolled over and dozed dreamily to the sound of hoofbeats, a slamming door. Was I awake? Dreaming? Raymond! Mom's voice, an unexpected alarm, jolts me out of my dream sleep. Get out here! I sit up, yank aside the curtain, and witness what panics Mom. A streak of horse energy on 4 legs full tilts down the lane. Dave bounces up and down hard onto the metal seat of his chariot, clinging to the reins like lifelines. Talion's speed increases, and Dave finally shakes loose from the chariot like a mountain lion from the pack of a wild horse. Talion cuts the corner coming out of the lane, dashing the chariot against the side of the culvert. One wheel spins into the ditch, the other chasing the driverless mass down the road. Talion regresses to scared girly horse and leapfrogs from the ditch into the grove of trees separating horse barn and road. The bedraggled apparatus clangs behind, boinging through the ditch and springing into the air as though it will leapfrog him. The terrified beast bolts, zigzagging through trees, chariot swinging behind him until it breaks free and clambers to a lifeless heap beside the old horse-drawn manure spreader Mom wants to turn into a planter someday. I had just observed the law of entropy and practicum and could see from my second-story window what my mother couldn't. The Spartan was up and walking a dirt clod's throw from the creek. Actually, I couldn't tell if he was walking towards me or away from me, or just standing there, not knowing whether to leave the family in the humility of it all or just pick up the pieces, come on home, and dish himself a bowl of ice cream. Comfort food. That's what Dave needed. Cream of wheat prepared by his mother. Mountains of white, mashed potatoes smothered with brown Swiss steak gravy from meat pounded to a tender morsel by his father. That would make everything all right, if only he could still swallow.